We are about to explore an unsettling truth in our discussion, titled, Why Giving Avoidants Space Will Never Make Him Better. Yes, that is the subject we shall dissect. The mistaken belief that distance alone can miraculously mend a wounded bond with an avoidant partner. Now, allow me to guide you through this winding path of relationship wisdom, potholes, pitfalls and all, so we may arrive at a far richer understanding of our own hearts and the hearts of those we hold dear. Imagine for a moment you are standing in a wide meadow at dusk. The gentle hush of the wind weaving through tall grass is soothing, a respite from your day's chaos. But in the distance, you hear thunder. The very air thickens with tension, and though you might cherish those last glimmers of daylight, you cannot help but feel that a storm approaches. This, my dear listener, is the same subtle fear that creeps into a relationship with an avoidant partner. One moment, everything seems calm. The next, you sense a rift looming just beyond the horizon. Now, let us speak plainly. Many have been led to believe that by granting endless space and patience to an avoidant man, he will one day awaken with an epiphany. "My goodness, how she must love me," he'll exclaim. "She's waited so long." But such is rarely the case. In my experience, listening to the souls who have confided in me, hearts brimming with both hope and despair, this strategy often leads to the opposite outcome. When we commit to giving and giving, in the expectation of receiving unwavering devotion in return, we merely reinforce his impulse to vanish whenever emotional closeness grows too intense. Allow me, if you will, to weave a tale, an illustration of sorts. I once knew a gentleman, stoic as an ancient tree. He had perfected the art of withdrawal at the first sign of conflict, or even a hint of genuine emotional expression. Away he vanished, like the sun slipping beneath a cold horizon. His partner thought, if only she offered him boundless freedom, time to mull things over, then surely he would see that she was worthy of love and commitment. But each time she granted him that hiatus, it reinforced one stubborn lesson in his mind. When things feel uncomfortable, retreat. There was no miraculous moment of clarity, no confession of undying love. Instead, he came to rely on a cycle that relieved his anxieties only when he was alone. And so, day by day, their intimacy withered as a flower starved of light. You see, giving an avoidant man indefinite space is much like welcoming a fox into the henhouse night after night, then wondering why your hens grow fewer by the morning. Space becomes an escape rather than a balm. It is not that these men are cruel. Far from it, many are simply overwhelmed. They are masters of risk assessment, always cataloging potential dangers, always bracing for the next blow. In their minds, the relationship can feel precarious, requiring constant vigilance. Emotions to them can be a baffling labyrinth, so they withdraw to preserve their sense of safety. They are not trying to be unkind. They are merely caught in the clutches of a habit forged from fear. Now, you may ask, if giving him space isn't the answer, what is? Let's shed some light on this conundrum. In truth, an avoidant partner needs the opposite of unstructured solitude. He needs purposeful, strategic engagement, opportunities to see that you are not the threat his mind imagines you to be. He needs a sense of predictability and clarity around what you seek. If you are in constant anguish but say nothing, because you've convinced yourself patience will prove your devotion, he will remain in blissful oblivion to your suffering. If you never share your desires in concrete, measurable terms, he will believe you have no real needs at all. Or worse, that you don't truly desire closeness. Permit me another story. A woman I once encountered had tried for years to coax her partner out of his self-imposed fortress by stepping back, patiently allowing him a mile of rope, hoping he'd return with some newfound reverence. But each time he came back, he remained as aloof as ever. No declarations of commitment, no blossoming warmth. Only fear that now burned slightly less, only to flare back up at the next sign of deeper intimacy. Finally, realizing her attempts at gentle waiting had failed, she decided upon a direct, structured approach. She spoke plainly and said, "My darling, here is what I need each week. One genuine conversation about our hopes. No more than 30 minutes, but a time with no distractions. I need you to share one honest thought or feeling, even if it's uncomfortable. In return, I promise not to judge or scold. I will listen, and I will offer you my honesty as well." She had, in that moment, taken something once intangible, love, intimacy, belonging, and given it form, defined in a way he could process. That clarity was a gift. He knew precisely what was expected. Slowly, the veil between them lifted. He realized that his flight instinct, while it soothed him temporarily, did nothing to alleviate the gnawing fear of intimacy that lived in his core. In time, he saw that the real sanctuary was found not in distancing himself from her, but in leaning into the structure she offered, a kind of gentle tether that reminded him he was safe, loved, and free to speak whatever truth was locked in his chest. Yes, dear friend, this is the essence of helping an avoidant man. It is not about letting him rove the emotional wilderness unchecked. It is about creating a new language, one of safety, predictability, and mutual respect. Show him what you need in precise terms. Lay out the benefits to both of you if he meets these needs. Then, just as crucially, assist him in discovering his own needs. Perhaps he yearns for quiet mornings, uninterrupted by chatter so he can gather his thoughts. Or maybe he craves the reassurance that he is not being judged for his emotional hesitations. When he can trust that you understand his need for calm clarity, and when he can see that your own emotional requirements can be met without devouring his freedom, then he begins to discover there is no hazard in staying close. But heed this warning. Continuing the cycle of endless waiting and repressed longing can lead down a very dark road. I have watched individuals age in the shadow of their unfulfilled desires, children never born, goals never pursued, all because they believed unspoken devotion would convince their partner to finally open up. Meanwhile, the avoidant one drifted further, no more enlightened than the day he discovered that avoidance brought him relief. Indeed, I have seen heartbreak so acute, it was like gazing upon a man who once possessed an orchard of potential, only to let it all rot for fear of the labor required to harvest. Why Giving Avoidants Space will never make him better. It's not a mere title, but a clarion call. A call to re-examine our intentions, our methods, our deep-seated hope that if we simply back away, our beloved partner will bridge the gap for us. Instead, we must invite him gently to cross that gap in a manageable, comprehensible way. Show him that closeness need not strangle him. It can set him free. Intimacy is not a prison wall, but a home he can build with you. Its windows open to the breeze, its foundation sturdy against the storms of life. Let us not forget that you too have needs, your own battered soul longing to be seen. Neglecting your own emotional well-being will only lead you to heartbreak. Over time, resentment festers, trust erodes, and tragedies such as infidelity or a drawn-out collapse into apathy can arise. If you starve yourself of the very nourishment, emotional reciprocity that your heart demands, you become a parched traveler in a barren desert with no oasis in sight. Now, my friend, you may wonder, can any avoidant man truly change? I assure you, where there is genuine commitment and structured guidance, change can blossom. By learning to share your needs in a clear, supportive fashion, and by encouraging him to acknowledge his own needs instead of pretending he doesn't have any, you foster a new kind of partnership. Bit by bit, trust takes root. The storm clouds that once loomed so threateningly can dissipate. He may never be the boisterous extrovert or the poet of your wildest daydreams, but a gentle, steady closeness can emerge, one anchored in mutual respect, honesty, and understanding. In the end, the key to unlocking this door lies in what you build together, a fresh approach that says, "I see you, and I don't fear your defenses. Here are mine. Let us meet in the middle, on equal footing. No masks, no illusions." Letting him endlessly roam, praying he'll return with new devotion, only tightens the bars of his internal cage. But gently offering structure, measurable assurances, and unwavering faith in the possibility of authentic connection. That is how, piece by piece, you dismantle that cage altogether. So, let us open that door. May we learn that true closeness asks us to speak plainly, share intentionally, and bravely place our hopes before our beloved's eyes. May it serve as a gentle prompt to look into ourselves, because so often it is our own buried fear of asking for what we need that keeps us locked in stagnation. And in doing so, let us bring an avoidant partner not loneliness and isolation, but relief, clarity, and the promise that the meadow at dusk need not be foreboding. It can be a place of serene comfort, where two souls stand side by side and watch the twilight with a sense of quiet wonder. That, dear friend, is the essence behind why giving avoidance space will never make him better. Not a condemnation of solitude. No, solitude can be restorative in healthy measure, but a guide away from the false notion that mere distance is a cure. For in truth, the cure lies in learning to step closer, no matter how tentatively, until closeness itself becomes a refuge.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.